You're watching Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey. We're about to break down the Mel Kiper draft grades. Now, spoiler alert, Mel was a coward. He gave out 2 A's, 2 C's. Everything else was a variation of a B. I would never do that, even if I may not be 100% sober when I do my draft grades. You can check out ours on YouTube and on Rumble. That is what the thumbnail looks like. Make sure you guys are subscribed to us on YouTube and on Rumble. That way you get the best NFL draft coverage all season and off-season long. Our NFL draft coverage has been presented by Manscaped, and you can get 20% off and free shipping on all their top-of-the-line men's grooming products at manscaped.com/chat. We're going from first to worst on the Mel Kiper draft grades. At number 1, based on his own list, he had the Baltimore Ravens securing an A. I also gave the Ravens an A. I loved what they did early on. We'll focus on a lot of the early round picks since kind of what Mel did in his article. Hamilton, Linderbaum, 2 of my best 8 players. Absolutely crushed it. Mel and I also agree on the job the Jets did. We both gave them A's. A lot of early picks for New York. They had a lot of draft capital to play around with. They got, in the end, 3 firsts and Ahmad Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, and Breece Hall. I think you got 4 outright starters, if not 4 heavy rotation pieces, with Johnson maybe being a rotation guy early on. That is it for the A's. Yeah, we're done already from Mel. The Falcons get a B+ on their grade. Drake London was their first-round pick. Arnold Ebiketie, the second-rounder, plus Troy Anderson. I like the Desmond Ridder pick. I was higher by a little bit for what the Falcons did. Overall, I thought it was a very quality class by Atlanta. And by number 4 for Mel, B+ is what he ended up giving the Detroit Lions. Again, there's not much in the way here of high grades for these. It's Hutchinson. I liked the aggressive trade-up for Jameson Williams. I guess that maybe Mel didn't like that one quite as much. His big point of contention was Hutchinson in the end kind of not being his favorite one. Or no, actually, I got that wrong. He did love the Hutchinson pick on that front there. It almost gave him an A. Again, he has Hutchinson and Williams as 2 potential All-Pros. I feel like that should be an A. A B+ for Philadelphia. I gave them an A, an outright A. This is a team that I did factor in the trade of A.J. Brown. I think that Kiper's attitude was they only had 6 picks, 3 in the top 100. So the Davis, Juergens, and Dean picks were all they had, plus A.J. Brown. So I guess the volume kept them down on that standpoint. Another one of a B+ grade, the Seattle Seahawks, is what I gave them as well. Some notable notes here from what Kiper argued here. He loved the Charles Cross selection. He dinged them because he wanted them to take Malik Willis. I'm actually okay with them not passing on that standpoint there. He had a couple day 3 picks that I like too: Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen, and Bo Melton. He did not give them an A because they did not take Malik Willis, but I'm fine waiting on a QB, to be honest. I want you guys to have a 2-part. It is a 2-part question here. Number 1 is to shout out your favorite team. In that same comment, I want you to grade their draft. So take the time you get here while the ad break plays on YouTube. Head down to the pinned comment and grade your team's draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Arizona, as we are already out of the B+, they get a B from Mel, and I gave them 1 on top of that. Neither of us loved the Marquise Brown particular trade in the end. But we did like the double dipping at edge. Cameron Thomas and Myjai Sanders, and Kiper also liked both Keontae Ingram and Marquise Hayes. The Buffalo Bills, they get a B from Mel Kiper, so we're in the same ballpark here. He had he liked the Kaiir Elam pick. He also mentioned Khalil Shakir, that 5th rounder right there, as a good value. I didn't love the Cook Bernard picks. He was okay with those. Mel was as well. It's a solid draft in the end here out of the Buffalo Bills. Number 9, the Carolina Panthers. Oh, look, another B. Not a ton of picks here for Carolina, but the ones they made, they were good. Ike Mekwonu, Matt Corral. Now, this is what annoys me. He didn't like the Matt Corral pick because they took a QB and said they're still chasing QB. So somehow that kept taking a QB, kept the Panthers at a B. Not taking a QB kept the Seahawks at a B. Here's one of our disagreements. I gave the Bengals a C. Mel Kiper ended up giving them a B. He did not like the Zachary Carter pick. Neither did I. I liked Daxton Hill. Mel's fairly high on Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback out of Nebraska, so a B grade there for the Cincinnati Bengals. Another B, a team that I gave a C, the Cleveland Browns. Now, neither of us are really factoring in the Amari Cooper to Deshaun Watson trades. If you do, that's pretty much an A because they were light on draft capital. Mel kind of grades on a curve, I think. I was lower on the Browns class. He mentioned it's tough to get stars with no picks to the third round, but he thought the Browns did a good job. Also, they took a kicker in the fourth round, and I don't like that. NFL Daily is presented by Manscaped. If you head over to manscaped.com/chat, you can get 20% off and free shipping on all their men's grooming products. Don't just take my word for it. Have you guys seen Mel Kiper's hair? No doubt that guy manscapes as well. So get your products today, from the Lawnmower 4.0 to the Ultra Premium Collection. Manscaped.com/chat. You can get the shampoo and conditioner 2-in-1. Maybe it'll make your hair as good as Mel's if you like his hair. If it's not, don't use it because if you don't like Mel's hair, use this to keep it away. So whichever way you feel, use Manscaped. Manscaped.com/chat. The Green Bay Packers, a B, which I find interesting, given that Mel really wanted them to take Christian Watson, who they eventually got on day 2. He says the Watson pick alone saved them from getting a C grade. He did not like Quay Walker pick at all, but you got Walker and Christian Watson. I thought overall Green Bay with some day 3 steals and Zach Tom and Kingsley Enaberry and Rasheed Walker, I thought they had an awesome draft this year. I gave them an outright A. The Houston Texans, they get a B on this one. Foundational prospects is the term used by Mel Kiper in his draft grades this year. He liked Petrie and Mechie and calls Dameon Pierce a potential sleeper in this class. The Colts at number 14 now. Oh, look, another B, which I also gave B's to the Colts and Texans here. No first-round pick because of the Carson Wentz trade, but they got a third-round pick because of their other Carson Wentz trade. He says the first, second, and third rounders should all be contributors. That's the 4 you see on screen: Pierce, Woods, Raymond, and Cross, and I completely agree. I am very surprised to see the Chiefs get a B grade because I loved their draft class. Mel's reasoning, they should have taken more than just Sky Moore at wide receiver. Even though they have signed Juju Smith-Schuster, and even though they kept Mecole Hardman, and they added Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he wanted another receiver. Look, I know you missed out on Tyreek Hill. I thought these picks plus Leo Chenal and Darian Kennard were awesome by KC. I gave them an A in my own grade, which, again, you can check out. It's in the comment section and in the description. While you're down there looking for that, let me know who you think won this year's NFL draft. I want to hear from you. What team do you think crushed it more than anybody else? The Raiders, a B here. There's a very common theme. It's like all Bs, which is kind of frustrating from that standpoint here. Not really factoring in the Devontae Adams trade, I guess, because if you are, it should be an absolute A as far as I'm concerned. Mel loves Dylan Parham. He said he's a possible Pro Bowler on the inside. Not a lot of picks for the Raiders, but another good draft. And look, another B. Again, this is coward stuff here by Mel Kiper. Giants get a straight up B there. He says he didn't love the Giants class after their first 2 picks, and I'm inclined to agree. I liked some of them: Dane Belton, Darian Beavers in particular, Wan'Dale Robinson, Joshua Azudu. I didn't care too much for those. The Steelers get a B, which, pick a side and how you feel to an extent about the quarterback here. final draft class for Kevin Tolbert. This was all about Kenny Pickett, right? You took Kenny Pickett in the first round. If he hits, it's an A. If he's not, it's a D or an F, if we're being honest. I love the receivers, by the way. George Pickens and Calvin Austin, 52, 138. Great value. I loved those two picks. I wish teams like the Falcons and Colts had double-dipped in the same way the Steelers did. Guess what Tampa gets? A B. Yeah, of course they do. He mentioned that Logan Hall and Luke Goedeke were reaches. I thought they were a little bit of reaches too, but I did like Cade Otton, Zion McCollum later on here as well. Not the best class, but a solid one by Tampa. Tennessee was a tough one for me. I gave them a C+. Mel gave them a B. Because that's like, I did notice like Command D every grade down there in the end. I dinged them for losing A.J. Brown, which was very frustrating. He did factor that in as well, that particular trade. He loves Malik Willis. That was his favorite pick of Tennessee. Nicholas Petit-Frere, Roger McCreary are interesting fits. I like a lot of the day 3 picks by Tennessee. Mel did as well. A lot of the dinging of the grades really comes down to how you feel about the A.J. Brown trade. What draft pick do you guys think was the best one in this year's class? Let me know in the comments right now. The Bears, a B-. So we're off the B train here. Mel's issues are the same ones that I have. We like the defensive players. I gave him a C+, by the way. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker didn't help Justin Fields enough. Velus Jones, Braxton Jones, Zachary Thomas, a bunch of day 3 offensive linemen. I love their defensive picks. It's the offensive picks that I have issues with. Denver gets a B-. Again, not really factoring in the Russell Wilson trade here. They did pick up a future third when they moved down with the Colts. That's always valuable. Nick Bonito, Greg Dulcich. I like Damari Mathis quite a bit. Mel apparently does not. They got weird with the first guy I didn't study in Montreal, Washington. If we're factoring in the Russell Wilson trade, it's an A. Otherwise, I actually think B- is pretty fair. The Jacksonville Jags, number 23 overall here. I gave them a C+. Mel gave them a B-. The Trayvon Walker-Hutchinson comp is going to be the just constant one in the end. I was a little confused why they took 2 linebackers, and so was Mel, but it's not a disastrous class. The Los Angeles Chargers, next up here, a B-. Mel thought they were going to take Trevor Penning. I like the Zion Johnson pick a lot. Mel says that is the only thing that took him away from this grade being a C. I like Atito Abonia. I like Jamari Salyer. No second-round pick kept them down a little bit. I wish they had found a right tackle, but I guess I like this class a little bit more. I gave it a B+ versus a B-. Of all the picks in this year's class, which one was the worst? Could be a first-rounder, a second-rounder, a third-rounder, whatever. What was the worst pick in this year's draft in 2022? The Rams at 25 get a B-. I'll read verbatim here from Mel's grades. There's really not a lot here, which means I can't go too high. If Logan Bruss ends up winning a starting job, the Rams will consider this draft a win. How is that a B- grade? That's like a D grade, which is what I think it is. Like the Rams traded all their picks away, and that was worth it. F them picks works. I love it, but I don't really get why he was so high on this class. It should not be a B if we're not factoring in trades. The Miami Dolphins also get a B- again. We're not factoring in the Tyreek Hill trade. I actually like their picks a lot. I thought Channing Tindall, Eric Ezukama, especially that Tindall pick, were really good selections by Miami. A very light class, I know. Maybe I was a little bit too nice to Miami when I ended up doing my grades, but we're in the same boat there. Minnesota at 27 in the end here. A lot of wheeling and dealing by Minnesota. Kiper didn't care for their day 3 picks, which I get to an extent there. Andrew Booth and Lewis Cine are what you're angling for there. To be blunt, Mel just wasn't a big fan of this Vikings draft class here. The Saints also get a B-. I feel like the A's were an A, the B+ were like B's. Everything was like up like at least a half letter grade because he was pretty scathing in the in the Saints review, he says they reached for Alontae Taylor. They had just 2 picks in rounds 4 to 7. They mortgaged their future for Chris Olave. All fair. Don't have a quarterback long term. I get. Feels like this should be lower than a B. I actually like the Saints draft overall. I'm just a bit surprised that Mel was pretty mean and gave him a B-. Don't be a coward, Mel. It's okay. Who do you think lost the NFL draft this year? Let me know in the comments as we get into our bottom 4 teams on Mel Kiper's grades. The Niners at 29 here. He says Drake Jackson has a high ceiling, but that they reached on a lot of their picks, and I get it. Tyrion Davis-Price was a confusing one to me. I loved the Danny Gray pick. I'm fine with Spencer Burford, some of their other offensive linemen. I didn't think Jackson was that big of a reach. It was the Davis-Price one that really confused me. The Commanders. Now, Mel likes the Jahan Dotson pick quite a bit, so I think that's why they ended up getting a B- despite being 30. 30 teams got better than a B draft. Cowards. That cowardice as far as I'm concerned. He thought they reached on Brian Robinson, reached on Fidarian Mathis, but I'm not a huge fan either. And again, I am confused as to how all these negative things that Mel said end up resulting in that grade. I gave them a C- myself. The bottom 2 teams, the 2 worst grades Mel Kiper gave out, a C+. He's calling unknowns a big factor in terms of this here. He doesn't know if Smith can be a guard, if Williams can be an every down player, etc. He called it a risky group, which I didn't like the class that much either. I gave it a C. I think it's a C+ actually as well. But, I had a lot lower teams. I think Mel was a coward here. And to the agreement of our Patriots fan, Jack Lauderay, your producer Jack, the Patriots get a C+. He called it their lowest rated class. He likes Marcus Jones and Pierre Strong. He thought everything else was pretty rough. I gave it a D, and that is because I ain't scared. I am not afraid to give out negative grades, and I'm wrong sometimes. That's all good in the end. So what I want you guys to do right now is grade Mel Kiper's grades. How do you feel about what he did? A, B, C, D, or F? Get those votes in for me in the comments.